props that Pat's going to be using in her talk are just for today, dramatic effect. She's going to be using slides in her presentation tonight.
That's a picture of my granddaughter, Annie. Isn't she beautiful? Yeah. She looks exactly like pictures of me at that age. Problem is, I haven't seen her in 8 years. I am an invisible grandparent. There's an empty spot on my counter every year for Christmas cards I'll never get, or thank you notes for presents that I can't send. That's 8 Valentine's Days, 8 Thanksgivings, and the worst, 8 Mother's Days. And I am not alone. There are millions of people out there who, because of personality conflicts or complicated custody issues, distance, or even choices made long ago, cannot see their grandchildren as much as they'd like, or at all, and have no way to pass on their values and memories to them. Grandparents play a very important role in children's lives. They can do and say things that overwrought, overworked parents often cannot. Just as having a child, and Jared showed us last week, opens a door to a new level of love, grandparenting can take that even further. And for those of us who don't get to do it, it hurts. But yes, there are ways we can learn to heal the hole in our heart and fill the time we have that we might have spent mentoring those children. Mine was to write letters. I've written hundreds of letters to Annie over the last 8 years and saving them for the hypothetical day that she may look me up. Many were about places we'd go. Others were about life lessons like listening and thank yous are important. Some were sent from the Arlington West Memorial for soldiers that have died in Iraq and were about peace. I even wrote one to Annie on love, sex, and marriage, assuming she was a teenager. In answer to a question she might ask me, "You were married 3 times, Grandma? Why?" Well, those weren't the only kind of letters I wrote. I also wrote some that I said, but would never send to her mother who was keeping me from seeing her. And those I crumpled up and took outside and actually burned in the moonlight, dancing to Janis Joplin. Take a little piece of my heart, oh baby, take it. Whew. And they actually did work to help diffuse that negative energy and transform some of it to forgiveness. What else did I do? I spent hundreds of dollars and hours in therapy learning to not blame myself for mistakes I might have made in my own parenting that were coming back to slap me in the face. I visioned Annie growing up healthy and happy and sound, even our having a reunion on Oprah or Dr. Phil. But most importantly, I developed a website on invisible grandparenting for other grandparents to share their stories and not feel so alone. Let me introduce you to Aaliyah. Aaliyah had a parting of ways with her family when the business that the family, her daughter-in-law and her son, when the family business went bankrupt. That was 10 years ago. She'd send packages on holidays. They'd come back from the post office unclaimed. She'd send texts, phone calls, try to friend them on Facebook, nothing. Aaliyah was angry. But a metaphysical thinker, she decided that that anger would not serve her or anyone. So every time she felt those feelings come up, she said the Lord's Prayer. She told me it took her 5 years to get over it, but she really did. Today, Aaliyah in her bathroom has a rope with a bar of soap on it that says, "I love you, Grandma." And every time she washes her hands, she sends love to her grandkids. Dari started a notebook of tidbits and mementos that she's saving for the hypothetical day that her granddaughter will see her. And Sandra, not to be daunted, started a Facebook page called "Can't Keep a Good Grandparent Down." And this Christmas in Austin, Texas, in front of her home, she put a Christmas tree for the Alienated Parents Christmas Tree of Hope. And she got some media attention. Hundreds of grandparents came and sent messages to their grandkids. Chelsea, an invisible auntie, has left her nieces and nephews that she can't see in her will. She said, "At least I will be giving them something." So as in this beautiful book says about invisibility, the invisible string, with a grandmother speaking to her grandchild, you don't need to see the invisible string. People who love each other are always connected by an invisible string made of love. "But if you can't see it, how do you know it's there?" the child answers. "Even though you can't see it with your eyes, you can feel it in your heart and know you're always connected to everyone you love." Well, we IGs, we invisible grandparents, need to learn to not focus on what is missing and be grateful for what we do have. And finally, we need to learn to grandmother ourselves, to rock ourselves in the soothing way that only grandparents can, and whisper in our own ears delightful things about us that our grandmother might say. Let's all learn to leave a legacy of love now, to find out what in our bones we want our grandchildren to know, and find a way to communicate that. And I have a PS for this group only, about the circle of life and the circle of love. Last night I got a phone call that my mother passed away. She would be Annie's great-grandmother. And I got, when I was calling my son, he said, "Oh, that's terrible, it sucks. But I have good news. Nicole is pregnant." How about that? I will get to do the real thing. Thank you.